Hello anime fans and welcome to our coverage of the Entertainment District arc of Demon Slayer. Let's join Tanjiro and the others as they join another Hashira to take on yet another Upper Moon. What will be their fate now? Let's find out. Akaza reports the events of Mugen Train to Muzan and receives an ass beating from him for failing to finish the job with Tanjiro and the others. Coming back to Tanjiro, he's completely devastated after seeing Rengoku lose right in front of him. He ditches his recovery and goes to meet Rengoku's family to deliver the messages to them. He encounters his brother Senjuro and delivers his message. As the two of them are sharing anecdotes of Rengoku, Shinjiro, his father, arrives on the scene. He's a jealous drunkard who has been scarred by the events of his life. He tells Tanjiro to get out as he doesn't want to hear Rengoku's message. He then notices Tanjiro's earrings and starts getting violent as he thinks Tanjiro is looking down on him as a sun-breathing user. He drops some cryptic lore about sun-breathing being the very first breathing form and pins Tanjiro down for speaking up for Senjuro. Both of them fight each other and it pretty much ends in a draw. Once Tanjiro wakes up, Senjuro thanks him for standing up for him and tells him about himself. He claims that his family has carried the Flame Hashira heritage but does not have any talent and will not be following that. He gives Tanjiro one of Rengoku's heirlooms and sees him off. Later, as Shinjiro hears the words Rengoku left for him,
体を大切にしてほしい。兄上が父上へ残した言葉はそれだけです。
he bursts into tears at the death of his son. When Tanjiro arrives at the Butterfly Mansion again, he sees the Sound Hashira, Tengen Uzui kidnapping Aoi and one of the three siblings for a mission. Tanjiro hurls insults at him and then decides that the three of them will go with him instead. Uzui agrees and the three of them make their way to the entertainment district of Yoshiwara. Tengen suspects that there must be some demons lurking around Yoshiwara. He tells the three of them that his wives have already infiltrated the three main courtesan houses here, but he hasn't been able to contact them for a while. That's why he dresses them up as girls and sells them each to the respective houses to find out what's going on. Tengen observes everything from the rooftops and the rest of them try to find information on the inside. It's then revealed that one of Tengen's wives, Makio, has been tied up by a mysterious figure and is being interrogated for the letters that she's been sending. Inosuke suspects something from Makio's room and barges inside, but he finds nothing as the demon has already escaped into the ceiling. He then breaks up half the house, chasing the demon in the ceiling and the walls. In the end, the demon escapes, but Inosuke at least has some clues now. In Zenitsu's house, he sees that another girl is being bullied by the oiran of the house, Warabi Hime. Zenitsu realizes that she's a demon and stands up to her, but due to her social standing, he can't engage her there. She attacks him and sends him flying across the room, making him faint. It's then revealed that the house mistress suspects her earlier before Tanjiro and the gang arrived in Yoshiwara and was killed by her. Once she kills the house mistress, Muzan comes into her room and greets her. The demon actually turns out to be the Upper Moon 6, Daki. Once Zenitsu wakes up, his minor wounds are tended to, but soon after that, he also disappears from his room. As everybody realizes with Zenitsu not arriving at their usual time that he has probably been captured, Tengen apologizes for involving Tanjiro and the others in such a serious matter. He tells them that he will handle this matter alone and they are dismissed. But the boys decide to continue investigating on their own. They decide the time and place to investigate together and part ways. Tanjiro bids farewell to the oiran of his house, who is a gentle person who has been keeping her company throughout his stay. She wishes him good luck and prepares to leave the Yoshiwara district the next day. Just as Tanjiro leaves, Daki arrives and kidnaps her. On Tengen's end, he extracts the information from the master of Zenitsu's house and finds out about both Warabi Hime and where his wife Hinatsuru is. Cutting back to Tanjiro again, he smells the scent of a demon from the room he had just left and goes back to check on the oiran. But as he arrives, she has been nearly absorbed into Daki's obi and has gone unconscious. Tanjiro engages her in combat and saves the oiran, but Daki quickly overwhelms him with her fast-paced attacks. Tanjiro is unable to keep up and gets constantly injured in the fight. He even has to put Nezuko down in the middle of the fight and focus on getting ready to face an upper-ranked demon demon that makes his body shiver from head to toe. As Tanjiro is fighting Daki, Tengen is able to locate Hinatsuru in an abandoned room somewhere in the district. She tells him that she poisoned herself to get out of the house because she found out about Daki, but she still managed to capture her and thus couldn't contact him. Tengen tells her to rest and goes after the demon. He senses a demon under the ground and starts digging. On the other hand, Tanjiro is getting thrashed around by Daki. He tries to use Hinokami Kagura to overcompensate for the difference in strength, but he's unable to use it consecutively and gets overwhelmed by the demon. On Inosuke's end, he finds a hole in the ground that he can get through and crawls through the entire tunnel to reach Daki's hideout. Turns out, she has split some of her obi and has been trapping numerous people in her obi so that she can eat them afterwards. Inosuke sees this all and starts fighting the obi. He frees Zenitsu, Suma, and Makio, and the four of them start fighting together. But the obi decides to attack innocent people lying on the ground that they have already saved when Tengen arrives and helps them out.
この気配走ら
Daki doesn't care about any casualties and causes massive damage throughout the district. Tanjiro sees all of this and gets extremely angry. He gives a speech similar to a badass swordsman from the past and absolutely destroys Daki with his Hinokami Kagura. Daki gets scared of him and figures out that it is actually Muzan cells that are afraid of Tanjiro right now.
どうしてわからない
どうして忘れる
私の記憶じゃない細胞だ無惨様の
Tanjiro immediately closes the distance between him and Daki and nearly gets her head cut off. But turns out that Tanjiro has not been sustaining his breathing for a while and collapses right when he's about to close the deal. As Daki recovers from her wounds and prepares to put an end to Tanjiro's life, Nezuko arrives at the scene and intervenes in the fight angrily. Nezuko then grows in all the right places and starts fighting the demon. Daki also realizes that Nezuko is the demon Muzan told her to take care of as she has escaped his control. Nezuko and Daki fight it out. Daki tries to behead Nezuko and finish things off, but Nezuko starts regenerating faster and faster every single time. She also burns using her blood demon art and is in complete control of the fight. However, fighting like this, Nezuko's bloodlust gets out of control and she starts targeting innocent bystanders. Just then, Tanjiro gets a vision that Nezuko is in danger and arrives at the scene to save her. He tries to control her but fails to do so as she's not listening to anything anymore. Tengen then arrives at the scene, beheads Daki, and tells her that she's too weak to be an upper rank. He tells Tanjiro to get her under control since he made a grand proclamation in front of the master. As Tanjiro sings Nezuko a lullaby to calm her down, Tengen notices that Daki is still alive and has started crying. Just then, Daki's brother Gyutaro emerges from her body and reveals that he's the real number 6. He heals her and decides to fight Tengen with his sickles. The two of them start fighting and Tengen is pushed back a little because he's unable to fight with full strength with so many people around. He gets hit by the sickles once or twice but manages to avoid any lasting damage. Just then, Tanjiro succeeds in getting Nezuko to calm down and fall asleep. Inosuke and Zenitsu arrive at the scene and Tanjiro tells them to aid Tengen while he puts Nezuko in her box. Finally, after getting Nezuko to safety, Tanjiro believes that if he can stand up, then he should fight. He goes back to the boys to complete the epic standoff they are having with the demons. Tengen briefs everyone that they need to sever both of their heads at the same time to kill these demons for good. Once they're done talking, Tanjiro and Tengen take on Gyutaro while they leave Daki to the other two. Daki proves to be too much for the young boys and has all the time in the world to assist her brother. The two of them are in perfect sync and collaborate on their attacks to overwhelm their respective opponents. Turns out, Tengen has also been poisoned by Gyutaro's sickles and is unable to fight at full strength. On the other hand, Makio and Suma are getting the citizens of Yoshiwara to flee, while Hinatsuru is carrying her injured body towards Tengen. Tanjiro proves himself to be a liability in the fight as Tengen has to carry him. But he starts contributing once he figures out he can use his water breathing to defend himself and the others. Just as it's all looking hopeless, Hinatsuru arrives and shoots a flurry of poisonous kunai at Gyutaro. He tries to tank it, but gets paralyzed by the wisteria poison, which is specific to demons, giving both Tanjiro and Tengen a chance to aim at his neck. Gyutaro takes care of the poison before the boys can finish him off and fends them both with his attack. He then quickly grabs Hinatsuru by the neck and decides to take his revenge for almost killing him. Tengen is busy with the obi and slashes down there and can't help her. Tanjiro then combines his water and sun breathing to quickly reach Gyutaro while also sustaining minimal damage to his body. Tanjiro's attacks again stun Gyutaro and create another chance for Tengen to come and slash his neck. But he quickly counters that as well, unleashing his blood demon art and forcing the two of them to flee. Tengen then starts fighting Gyutaro alone, as he's the only one who can keep up with him, while Tanjiro joins Inosuke and Zenitsu in fighting Daki. Tanjiro and Zenitsu open the way for Inosuke as he jumps into danger head first and slashes her head with his twin blades by using them like a saw. He then takes her head and runs away so she can't attach it back before Tengen is finished with Gyutaro. But everything ends the moment Gyutaro arrives behind Inosuke and stabs him in the heart. When Tanjiro turns to see Tengen's condition, he finds him lying on the ground with one of his hands gone. As Tanjiro is contemplating his helplessness once again, recalling the incident with Rengoku and making what-if scenarios in his head, he's unable to dodge Daki's obi, but Zenitsu sacrifices himself and pushes him off the roof. When Tanjiro opens his eyes, he sees the entire Yoshiwara burning. He sees that everyone seems to have died and he's the only survivor. Gyutaro arrives in front of him to kill him, but decides to torment him first. He mocks him for not being able to protect anyone and seemingly breaks his spirit. Tanjiro runs away from him as far as he can, but Gyutaro catches up to him and breaks his fingers. Tanjiro then headbutts him in retaliation and stabs him with one of the kunai from before. Turns out, he was running away to get to his kunai before. Gyutaro gets paralyzed and Tanjiro puts his sword on his neck to behead him. Daki tries to intervene, but Zenitsu uses his god speed, pulls himself out of the rubble, and traps Daki with his sword. The two of them almost succeed, but Gyutaro is able to break out of his paralysis. As he's about to kill Tanjiro, Tengen arrives and interrupts him. Turns out, he had just temporarily stopped his heart earlier to slow the spread of the poison. Tengen and Gyutaro engage in a fight once more, as Tengen has figured out all of Gyutaro's attack patterns. He corners him with some help from Tanjiro and is about to behead him. Just then, Inosuke arrives at the scene, reveals that he had shifted his vital organs earlier, and joins Zenitsu in cutting Daki's head off. Both the demons get their head cut off at the same time, and the fight finally ends with the victory of the Slayers. But it turns out, Gyutaro's body had one last attack left, as it unleashed blood blades all over the city, destroying it completely with the fate of the Slayers hanging in the balance. Once Tanjiro wakes up, he realizes that he has been healed of the poison. Nezuko is with him and the two of them celebrate their victory. Tanjiro then reunites with Zenitsu in Inosuke. Nezuko burns the poison out of Inosuke's body. Nezuko arrives and heals Tengen's poison as well. Tanjiro goes to confirm that the demons are dead, but he finds their severed heads fighting with each other over who caused the defeat. Tanjiro tells them not to say such harsh things to each other, as neither of them means it.
仲良くしよう。この世でたった二人の兄弟なんだから。
Their backstory is revealed. They were both born in a poor brothel in Yoshiwara. Gyutaro was bullied before Daki, formerly known as Ume, was born. But Daki had a pretty face and Gyutaro was good at fighting. The two of them had each other's backs until a samurai burned Ume alive. On the brink of their death, the two siblings encounter a demon who tells them that he'll change their lives. And so, the two of them have lived devouring humans since then. Coming back to the present, once they are dead, they make their peace with each other in the afterlife and walk forwards towards hell. On Tengen's side, Obanai, the serpent Hashira, arrives and jokingly mocks him for getting so beat up fighting an Upper Moon 6. He tells him that he needs to pick up the slack now, but Tengen informs him that he'll be retiring and living a normal life with his his wives now. When the news reaches the master, he's overjoyed at the cogs of fate finally changing. Cutting to Akaza, we see that he has been summoned to the Infinity Castle, realizing that an upper moon must have fallen. That's it for this exciting season for the story. Join us again in the next video for our coverage of the next season of Demon Slayer. Thanks everyone for watching. Peace!